Hi everybody, this is Mesa with Kinsmade and Polish It Off, and I'm going to make a couple of things with my husband's old ties, some little keepsake things, and I'm going to give you some directions on how I was able to do this using a few simple tools. So for this first project, I've chosen 3 ties that kind of coordinate, and what I did was I cut. Let me show you what's going on here. So up here, my husband used to just knot them, and you can see that they're real grungy, kind of dirty, threadbare, some of them, up here at the top where the knot was, because he used to just tighten and loosen at the knot, just ties one time only, and it's just a habit of his. So this section here is just really grubby. It would be really difficult probably to get all that soiled area completely out. So I used the tail portion. What I did on this one, this happened to be a good place to disassemble this. The ties really just have one little thread running down them. That's just kind of back and forth. There's a little tack bar right here that can be clipped with the scissors, and then the next little clip can be clipped and pulled out. Look, that has some snags there. You'll have to watch for the condition of the tag. Oh look, that's where the tag used to be. Anyway, so you can just take the entire tie completely apart. With these, I haven't taken them apart yet, because I think I may do something with the larger chunks, but I did go ahead and cut off here. You could see there is where all the little parts were getting threadbare. This is just the inside part of the tie, just to stabilize and give it its shape. So anyway, I cut that section off, and then I made a tube I sewed a tube, basically, and then I filled the tube with yarn to stuff it, and I will show you what I did with these later. Right now, what I'm going to show you is, this is the other portion of this part of the tie, still from the slender portion. And once you iron it out, there's actually quite a bit of fabric there. So this is how I'm going to cut this piece. Okay, so up here, what I'm going to do is I'm trying to center everything at 7 on this end of the tie, and then I'm going to do the same thing down here. And with this grid, it's a little bit tough, so I'm going to use the straight edge to figure out which of those it needs to be at. And then I'm just going to nudge this over to center, about center. Then I'm going to put my layout ruler right on 7 down here, and use my rotary cutter, and I'm going to cut down this side straight up and down. Okay, so you want to make sure that your piece came completely loose, but I'm going to leave it straight on the board with the ruler exactly in the place that I left it, because what I'm going to do now, leaving the ruler in the exact place, I'm going to cut down the other side of the ruler with the rotary blade. Okay, so this we're going to discard, or I may hold on to it for another thing I'm going to do. So this is one piece, and then I'm going to cut a second piece by doing the same thing. And I'm just going to use the width of this ruler because it is roughly 1 1/4 to 1 1/2 inches wide. And using a thick ruler that's about the right size kind of helps it. This fabric slips around a lot. I may have to recut that portion. Okay, here we go. So, and then I'll just go down the other side so that I end up with 2 finished strips, and these are going to be our little necklace pieces. So yeah, so I'll cut down there with that. Okay, now folding this with right sides together, I'm going to stitch this If your tie is stretching, then it kind of, this one is stretching, so it kind of shrinks up the seams width on ya. But we just need to get it stitched securely. I'm noticing a little snag here, but I don't think in the overall piece it's going to matter. Stitch this down for you so you can see what I do when I get to the end. Super important when I get to the end. Oops, needle down. I'm going to turn it and sew it shut. And you'll see why we do this in the second part of this. Okay, I'm going to sew up the other one in a little bit of a tighter shot for you. And I'm sorry, I'm totally contorted to do this for the camera. Get started, lock our stitch. I don't want to iron this because in my finished piece, I don't want a seam. So I want it to be kind of rounded over. I'm not going to worry about where this tie has been seamed except to lay it down neatly. The stretchiness of the tie does make it needle down. Oops, sorry. Cut off the end of that. Okay, so now what we need to do is turn these because they are wrong side out. So what we're going to do, you can take a skewer. I happen to have this little stainless steel chopstick, and you need an ordinary straw. You need the chopstick or whatever you're using to fit loosely in here, and you need the straw to be able to insert into your project. So we insert the straw. All the way to the end, or just almost to the end. Then we take our skewer and we stuff this up inside the straw. And then we try to ease this down. Oh, the casing, we ease it down over the chopstick. And we just keep going like that. You can see it's pushing the straw back out. Okay, and we can discard the straw at this point and simply scoot all this fabric, work it down, and now you have it wrong side out with the thing trapped inside. So then you're going to scoot out your skewer, scoot that out. I will do it again for you in case you are not able to see because I don't know what exactly the camera is picking up. So we're going to insert the straw into the casing, and you can wrinkle it up like that. Down to the end, a little, loosen it a tiny bit. You can hang on to it there. That might be a little too much. Just want to start working this fabric into the straw and pulling it down over the skewer. I'm putting the skewer down here. This helps too to give you a little leverage, and then you can just scoot, scoot, scoot. Scoot this straight down. Keep pulling your casing through little at a time. Okay, all the way to the end. Boom. And then we take out our skewer. Gotta let that thing drop out. It's nice, the stainless one, because it's so heavy, but it's easy enough to work out. So now you have a hollow tube, and you are going to need these ends opened back up. So we're just going to take our scissors and just trim them off. And then there'll probably be a little piece in here that needs to come loose. I'll trim that to where it's relatively flat. Alright, now I have gotten out of my stash some yarn that was, it's just really not going to plan, I don't have plans for this yarn. It's just kind of old-fashioned yarn. I did a few projects with it, but nothing special kind of yarn. This is just some acrylic. And what we're going to do is, of course I grabbed the wrong end. Wrong end of my skein here to pull it out cleanly. Okay, and then what we're going to do is pull it out past, a couple inches past each end, and we're going to do this till I have at least 6 strands. You're just going to use however much fills up your casing. So if your casing is a little fatter than mine, then you'll use more thread to pad it, more yarn, or less if you make it skinnier. Get my finger out of the way, cut that. Okay. And then one end will have your cut ends, and one end will have your loop ends, and you want to grab your loop ends. Okay, let me do this a different way for the camera here. So we're going to grab our loop ends, and we're going to put thread or casing onto our crochet hook till it's exposed, and then we're going to grab these ends, and we're going to pull the casing, fabric casing over the thread. You can stuff it loosely or stuff it firmly, depending on the texture that you know, how you want your necklace to lay, if you want it to be a little bit more rigid. Okay, I'm holding it right here, firmly, right here, and then I'm just kind of easing this part down to the other end. And then what I normally do is go in the center, from the center, grasping firmly, and pull one direction and then pull the other. Now we're back to the sewing machine. I'm going to put this seam under my presser foot. And I'm just going to go back and forth here to lock it really, really well. And then I'm going to put the other end up and do the same. So we don't want this coming unraveled. Let this yarn secure. Okay, that's not going anywhere. So the way I intend to finish these is to put them, I'm going to cut the yarn off cleanly. And what I plan to do, see here, or use this sort of a cap, or this one would probably match better. And you can either use I have the eye pin, or the head pins, or the eye pins, depending, that catch that. And then I don't have the correct jewelry pliers. Oops, to show you. Letting me zoom back. Oops, wrong way. Go back to normal view here. Or nearly so. And so yeah, what I'm going to do is stuff these up bunch of glue. Epoxy works fantastically for this. I think you should be able to get 2 ends for a 2-strand, and if you worked with finer measurements, you could probably get 3 in. Just have to see what you can do. But that's how I'm planning to secure it, and then I can put my chain and my clasp here to make it adjustable. Sorry, I don't know if you can see that. So yeah, so this like turns into a loop with your pliers. If I had my jewelry pliers, the proper thing would be you'll make a loop there. And then a chain will attach with your other findings to make a necklace. So it's going to look a little something like that with this fabric portion glued up inside of this cap. And you will have a lovely necklace. I will show you here in a bit. Okay, so I found my jewelry things here, so I'm going to try to do this for you, show you how this is done. Okay, so I have my eye pin up inside of this cap. Okay. What I'm going to just do is bend this down around these round pliers. And I can kind of see how big my loop is. And I can cut the excess off here. Oops. A little more leverage on here. What I do is I press on the table and push into it. Might need to go get some more serious pliers. Alright, I was able to get that off. Gonna get our round nose pliers again. It's hard to do. Hard to get this exactly where I want it. Alright, push that over. Oops, now it went too far. Anyway, there's our loop. Then what I'm going to do is kind of Frankenstein I'm going to take some of the chain off of here and attach it here. And then I'm going to attach it to these tiny lobster clasps. And they will just attach directly onto the loop. Let me show you what I mean. So I apologize that I never actually finished this tutorial. This is how I ended up finishing another one. I just kind of put a hook and eye situation. These were inserted by using 2-part epoxy up inside of there. So that is how these are secured. I was able to get all 3 strands into a cap this size. So anyway, there's the finished project.